Hello again, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Brown's Latest. I'm Dave Grendzynski, and this is where you can stop in and get caught up on some of the latest developments involving our Cleveland Browns and then get some takes on the latest news along the way. Thank you to everyone who has liked the episodes and has subscribed to the channel. And then I also thank you because I love hearing from you down there in the viewer comment section. Coming up on today's show, hey folks, all right, more football again today. OTAs will restart out there in Berea. They'll be back on the field today. We'll let you know what you can expect to see this week, week 2 of OTAs. Also, a football legend here in Cleveland makes a bold prediction about this year's team. Hey, and what Shadeur Sanders says he is asking Joe Flacco on a daily basis. And then down in the viewer comments, someone has already laid out the draft plan for next year. So you can call Andrew Berry, tell him we got this, because we're going to find out what that plan is. But first things first, welcome to week 2 of OTAs. The team at the golf course yesterday. So yesterday, day off, but today they're back at it. There will be no media out there today. So we won't get to hear all those conflicting reports about who threw a bad pass and who threw a good pass and who had a pass batted down. So that'll be back tomorrow. The media will be out there tomorrow, but I'm sure there'll be some things on the Browns X account like it was what was going on last week. But let's get into this because Kevin Stefanski did talk at the golf outing yesterday, and so did Joe Bitonio. And what Stefanski said is that this week, and there, no media, so media only on Wednesday. But he said the plan this week is to build the foundation of what kind of team they're going to be. And he says it started actually yesterday with that golf outing where, you get the guys, out on the course and it builds camaraderie and they can do something, gets them away from football and they can do something away from football. But again, it goes into building that foundation when they get back to work tomorrow in OTA. He says, they really want to establish their identity. And as the way he said it, he said who we are and how we play on offense, defense, and special teams. Now, Joe Bitonio, when he talked, I think he tipped it off when he said a big part of the reason he came back was when he talked to the coaches and they told him what style of offense they were going to run this year. And remember, I keep saying, they're going to run the ball a ton. I mean, you don't go out and draft 2 stud running backs to not run the ball. So I think that he tipped the hand a little bit. I think that we're going to run the ball a lot. And then the rookies, he said the big part of this week will be help the rookies grow. He said they're doing a great job, both of them, Dylan Gabriel and Shadeur Sanders. He said they're in early, they're staying late. He said he calls them sponges in the room, and says it's fun to see them getting better just by listening to the vets and the coaches. On the field, he says they're going to look for sound decisions and accuracy, so that's something to pay attention to this week. If you're keeping score at home, pay attention to that. And then, and he says the other thing he talked to the rookies about, and this week maybe this is where this starts to settle in, is he says maybe they can find, it doesn't even have to be a quarterback, but one of the vets, one of the other guys, find somebody to attach themselves to that exhibits the work ethic that they want to exhibit, and all of the intangibles that come along. He says guys who've been in the league for 10 years, they haven't been here by accident. So whether it's a Joe Bitonio or maybe it is a Joe Flacco, guys like that, he's like, don't be afraid to, he called it, you could be a follower in some respects, but that's another way that they're going to try and get the rookies to grow a little more this week. And one other little tidbit that happened as we get ready to go back into OTAs, the Browns did clear some cap space because Juan Thornhill and Delvin Tomlinson came off the book, so almost $10 million. And so, now we're at $18 million in cap space, but the problem is going into next year, we're still going to be like $36 million in the red because of Deshaun Watson. So, I mean, we have money to spend, but it's not a lot. So we, just thinking free agents and things like that as we get closer to minicamp. I don't expect them to spend a ton. I think what's going to happen is they're going to try to get through. I'm not saying they won't sign anybody because there are a couple guys out there, linebackers, a couple guys out there that I think, could help the defense if need be. But I just think that what they're really waiting for is Deshaun Watson to not play, to not take a snap, to stay on the PUP list, and then they cash in on that insurance policy, because if they do, that'll get them out of the red in a hurry going into next year. So I think that's the plan. Obviously, if there's an emergency or something, they'll have to use the money, but if they don't have to do anything, they won't, just because of their situation with the cap, even though we did get that $10 million back over the weekend. Now, here, how about this? The top dog, Hanford Dixon. Boy, oh boy, over the weekend, did he make a prediction? So we're going to get right to it. Listen to his bold prediction. He says, I'm going to go out on a limb this year and say this. I honestly believe that with the talent that we have on this football team right now, on defense, on offense, I really believe we have enough talent, and I think we will make the playoffs. I mean, honestly, I believe that. There is no way that we can win 3 games and be in that category. And so the top dog, Hanford Dixon, he's got his podcast that he does each week, and he came out the other day with that. And honestly, folks, like, I've talked about it. Like, I told you, they're more than a 4-win team. To me, they're more than a 6-win team. And when you start talking about that, now you're talking about, you had a couple more wins, and now you're talking about potential playoffs. And so I don't think Hanford Dixon is that far off base. And so for him to say that, I think he's seeing some of the same things. Now, injuries, of course, will be, that's always a big factor. But, the way it stands right now, and the draft picks we made, and the talent that we have, especially in the quarterback room, it's just night and day compared to what we had in previous years. And so I think things are stabilizing, and I do think Hanford Dixon, I don't think he's crazy. I think I agree with that. I don't think the playoffs are out of the question with the team this year. So we'll see. All right. How about Shadeur Sanders? Boy, he had this live stream the other day, and he mentioned what he's asking Joe Flacco every single day. And here's a shot of him. This is him doing the live stream. And he said, I go up to Joe Flacco every day, and I ask him if he's good and if he needs anything. He says he even mentioned he'd help Flacco organize his locker out of respect, if he wanted it, And he said that he also said when he's a vet, he would like to have a rookie organize his locker for him when he gets to that point. But the whole point of bringing this up is because the knock on Shadeur, obviously, was the whole attitude problem thing and everything going into the draft. But, we have not seen any of that. I mean, and it's just, he just keeps building on it, and whether, this might have been a tactical move, I don't know, but, he's doing it, and he says, yeah, and I'm sure Joe Flacco, I'm sure he'll be asked about it. I guarantee he'll be asked about it this week, and then now Deion Sanders coming out. We're going to talk more about this, if not tomorrow, a little bit later in the week. Deion Sanders coming out and basically calling the New York Giants liars about the whole draft process. And so it looks like I said, like we talked about yesterday, like this tide is starting to shift, man, and it's swinging Shadeur's way, and so and this is only going to keep building as the season goes along. But this was great, and if that's true, it's gonna be funny to hear Joe Flacco's response to all this. But Shadeur just showing everybody that he is very comfortable in his role as a rookie. He knows it's a reset, when you get to the pros, and it starts all over again. And so he's showing it by the way he's trying to help out Joe Flacco, helping out Grandpa Joe in the locker room, man. Asking him if he needs anything every single day. Now, one thing we don't need are good viewer comments, because we got them every day. We've got a plethora of good viewer comments, and we're going to start today with "What be wrong with people?" Great YouTube handle. Now, that is YouTube handle right there. What be wrong with people says, why does Flacco need to start? Rookies of Shadeur's caliber start all the time. And yeah, they do, but with the Brown situation, we'll see. It'll play itself out, but again, you got Flacco, who's 40, and throws a lot of interceptions, so who knows how long that'll go. And you got Pickett, who has had a sketchy career so far, although he's 15-10 in the league. He's got a winning record. He gets hurt a lot. And so I just feel like with that the first part of the schedule is a bit grueling. If we don't have to rush him out there, let's not. Let's set him up to win. And so that's why. And Flacco knows his offense, and so we'll see. There's a long way to go. I mean, we're only starting the second week of OTA, so there is a lot that is going to happen between now and even training camp. And then the first preseason games. There's a lot that's going to happen between now and September. Robert McCarthy, 45-28. Flacco fits good in the Cleveland offense under Stefanski. The development of Shadeur should be a priority, and protecting the kid should be a key consideration. Easing him into it. I think the kid has potential to be the future of the franchise. Yeah, I don't think anybody's going to disagree with that. 100%. There's no doubt. Everybody, I'm telling you folks, everybody I talk to, they shake their heads about the Dillon Gabriel in the third round pick. They're not, like I said, they're not saying they don't like Dillon Gabriel, but they're like, we could have gotten him later. Like, if you'd have taken Shadeur in the third, there's nobody would have faulted you for that. But again, Flacco does fit the offense. He knows the offense, so that's why, and I don't know what they must feel the same way about Pickett too, but that's why I'm okay with letting Flacco, or Pickett. I keep hearing, Pickett could be the guy. But one of those two. Let them start. Let the rookies learn. Rosie Bold T 2657 kept straight right to the point. Love Dillon Gabriel pick. Very talented and experienced. You have to throw that in there. Got to keep it balanced because he is talented. He is experienced, but we're gonna have to see. They took him in the third round, folks. So they're definitely gonna look at Dillon Gabriel. And so this is what I mean, folks. We have a situation where. We've got two really good rookie options here heading into the future. So, which sets us up for this. Preston Pickett. Could he be related to Kenny? Preston Pickett, 5653 says, use the 2 number 1s next year and get a left tackle and a number 1 wide receiver. Then put number 12 under center. I don't think it's any relation. I don't think it's a relative of Kenny Pickett. He says, now here's the thing. It's a good draft plan if you think you have your quarterback. But what I would do is, I think if Dewan is good over there at left tackle, we don't need to get a left tackle. But what I would do is I would make Jeremiah Smith from Ohio State. If he decides he's coming out, he would be my number 1 priority. If we got this quarterback thing taken care of heading into next year, 100%, I would be doing what I can to get into the spot that would get me Jeremiah Smith. And then R.980, more password than YouTube handle, says, yeah, Pitts. Remember we talked about Kyle Pitts on the Browns, one of 6 teams potentially in the mix for a trade for Pitts. Pitts on the block is not a surprise, and given our history of trading players with the Browns, landing him with the Browns would also not be a surprise. So, yeah, we'll see. I've talked to some people who are like, heck, I would give up a 3rd round pick for Pitts, But just, with Fannin, if you can use him as a wide receiver and you get Pitts and Njoku on the field, and like I said, then it covers you. He's 4 years younger than Njoku. You can let Njoku walk and sign Pitts and be in a good spot there at tight end. And then we'll end on this with 58 Wheeler L. He says, all eyes will be on the Browns this season, and you cannot argue with that. That is the truth. No matter what, all eyes are already on the Browns this season. Okay, folks, we're going to be watching some football today as much as we can get out of them out there in Berea, and we'll start breaking it down. Media out there again tomorrow, and there'll be plenty of things to talk about as the week goes on. Thanks again for joining us. Go Browns. We will see you next time.